The Supreme Court in London has never seen anything like this before. Don't bother with the Netflix docs. It's hard to look back on it now and say, what the heck happened? Someone with sharp eyes has noticed what may be a lie in the Oprah interview or the endless complaints about privacy violations. What just happened in courtroom number 7 has completely changed what you thought you knew about Harry and Meghan's fairy tale romance. When famous investigative journalist Tom Bauer stood in front of the court and said the names Trevor Angleson and Operation Cuckoo, the whole room went crazy. Harry sat still, his face pale. Meghan ran out of the courtroom crying, her carefully built facade falling apart in front of everyone. The British monarchy is also going through the worst constitutional crisis in modern history. This isn't gossip. This isn't just gossip from the tabloids. This is the sworn testimony of a man who has ruined the reputations of billionaires and politicians with nothing but proof that can't be argued with. And what he said about Archie's real parents could end a line of succession and ruin the Sussex brand for good. Are you ready to find out why Buckingham Palace has kept this secret for almost 10 years? Are you ready to find out what Trevor Angleson, Meghan's ex-husband who she forgot about, has to do with the British throne? Sign up now. Hit that like button and don't look away because the truth is about to come out. The person who will kill you is here. January 2026. The sky over London isn't just grey. It's heavy with the weight of truth. People are rushing to the Supreme Court of Justice, but not for a normal property dispute or a celebrity divorce. People have come to see either the end of modern royalty or the truth behind the most complicated lie of the century. In courtroom number 7, the air is thick and hard to breathe. International journalists fill every seat and are ready with their pens over their notepads. You can almost feel the tension in the air. Then he came in. Tom Bauer had silver hair and eyes that looked like razors. A man who doesn't tell stories. He kills reputations with the same precision as a surgeon. People in the world of investigative journalism not only respect Bauer, but they also fear him. Anyone who is in his sights, from media tycoons to crooked politicians, knows one thing for sure. When Tom Bauer talks in court, he has proof that can't be challenged. He never hits without a weapon. He never makes accusations without proof. This time, though, his target isn't a disgraced CEO or a big bank. He is going after the very roots of the British royal bloodline. Check out the spectator area. Prince Harry is sitting there with his shoulders tense under his dark suit jacket. His eyes, which have often burned with righteous anger at the press, now show something else. A haunting emptiness that makes you think of a man on the verge of finding out a truth that will ruin him. Meghan Markle sits next to him, still looking like a Hollywood star. But keep an eye on her hands. They are holding her purse so tightly that her knuckles have turned white. That was a well-kept calm. It's going to break into pieces. The voice of Tom Bauer cuts through the courtroom. Deep, powerful, and terrible. He doesn't waste time on fights between family members or problems with bridesmaid dresses. He goes right for the throat. The real family tree of Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. When Bauer says the name Trevor Angleson, Meghan's supposedly forgotten ex-husband, and then says the words genetic comparison results, everyone in the room shivers. This is not a place for conspiracy theories on the internet anymore. This is the sworn testimony of one of the most respected investigative journalists in Britain. The room is so quiet that it becomes scary. You can hear the royal lawyers gasp. Harry was the man who gave up everything, including his titles, his safety, and his relationship with his father and brother, to protect his small family. It looks like his soul has been ripped out. His mouth drops open. He stares into space, his eyes wide open. Maybe at that moment, thousands of pieces of his past, doubts that won't go away, unexplained absences, and rushed timelines all come together to make one terrifying picture. And Meghan's reaction is the clearest answer to the mess. There's no firm denial or angry look. Instead, there is a complete breakdown of emotions. She has tears streaming down her face. She suddenly stands up and walks, almost runs, out of the courtroom, leaving the security guards speechless. The sound of the wooden door slamming shut behind her sounds like the last period in a modern Cinderella story. Why would a famous journalist like Tom Bauer choose this exact moment to tell the whole truth? What does he have in his hands that could bring down a whole dynasty? Operation Cuckoo, the file that changes everything. You need to know the person giving Bauer's testimony in order to understand how powerful it is. Tom Bauer isn't a basement-dwelling blogger who makes up theories. He used to be a lawyer and now works as an investigative journalist for the BBC. For decades, he has been working to bring down people who think they are untouchable. His list of victims is like a list of powerful people: billionaire media owners, crooked politicians, and big business owners. Everyone thought they were safe. Everyone learned that Bauer follows one steel-cold rule. He never strikes without having enough firepower to ensure complete destruction. When Bauer wrote Revenge in 2022, the world was shocked by what he said about Meghan. But what he's saying in this London courtroom is a lot more than that. Bauer stays eerily calm and almost coldly composed during intense questioning by Meghan's powerful legal team. He doesn't give emotional guesses. Instead, he tells the court clerk to put a complicated diagram on the big screen in the courtroom. He calls it the record of overlaps, and it's a timeline of Meghan Markle's life from 2013 to 2018. Bauer starts to carefully peel back each layer. He goes back to 2013, when Meghan got a divorce from film producer Trevor Engelson. According to the official story that the Sussexes have always told, Meghan became an independent woman who was able to take care of herself and cut all ties with her past as she began her journey toward royal love. But Bauer shows a very different reality. He says that the link between Meghan and Trevor never really ended, based on hotel records, verified phone logs, and testimony from former staff members. Everyone in the room leans forward. This isn't a hint. This is proof that is written down. As Bauer walks the court through what he found, his voice stays steady. Trevor Engelson's shadow stayed over Meghan's relationship with Harry. There were strange gaps in Meghan's schedule while she was filming Suits in Toronto between July 2016, when she first met Harry, and the announcement of their public engagement. Bauer's evidence shows that these gaps strangely line up with trips that one person, Trevor Engelson, took but didn't tell anyone about. The temperature in the courtroom seems to drop by a few degrees. Bauer's description of his source network gives everyone their real chills. He says he was able to get to the palace's gatekeepers, who were longtime servants who watched events from behind the velvet curtains of Kensington Palace. These people stayed quiet for almost 10 years because they were loyal to the crown. But because of all the evidence and the chaos around the Sussexes, they decided to talk to Bauer. Take a moment to think about what that means. People who work in the palace and have spent their lives keeping royal secrets have finally spoken up. They broke centuries of rules because what they saw was too important to hide. Bauer says that people who doubt Archie's fatherhood aren't doing it out of spite, they're just using common sense. He asks a series of questions that are so important that the courtroom and the world can't ignore them. Why is it so hard to find out everything about Archie's birth? Why did the famous royal doctors refuse to sign the traditional birth certificate, which had been done for hundreds of years? And most importantly, why did Meghan insist on changing important information on her son's birth certificate just a few months after he was born? These aren't questions that are meant to be answered. They are the most important part of Bauer's case. But he doesn't just tell on Meghan. He indirectly destroys Harry's judgment. Bauer shows Harry as a puppet in a perfectly staged play where oaths of eternal love took the place of truths about bloodline. Bauer says he has copies of internal reports from royal security forces who were told to keep an eye on Meghan's relationships before the wedding. Bauer says that these reports have a lot of red flags about the unwelcome presence of former figures in Meghan's life right before her royal wedding. The weight of this testimony doesn't come from how loud it is. It comes from the calm confidence of someone who knows the truth. Bauer looks Harry in the eye and says things that will stay with him forever. No one owns the truth. It just exists, and my job is to bring it out of the dark basement where it's been for a long time. At that moment, everyone in London knows this is no longer a family fight. This is a purge from history. Tom Bauer has the key to Pandora's box. The box that the British royal family has been trying so hard to keep locked. The Trevor link. The Prince of Hollywood that no one remembers. Why Trevor? What does a producer of Hollywood movies have to do with the British line of succession? A lot of people are asking these questions. Tom Bauer has answers that will make you feel bad. Bauer doesn't say that the media hurt Meghan. He calls her what the evidence says she is, a master strategist. Trevor Engelson is more than just an ex-husband you can forget about. He was the man who stood by Meghan for almost 10 years. From the time she was a struggling supporting actress trying to make a name for herself until she got her big break with Suits. Trevor is the one who remembers everything, knows all the habits, and understands all the goals. Most importantly, he knows the darkest parts of Meghan's planned rise to power. Things that Prince Harry may not have fully understood because he was so in love. Tom Bauer asked a question in court that made everyone in the room shudder. Could a woman as smart as Meghan really cut off her lifeline when she wasn't sure she had a good hold on the new island she was anchoring herself to? Bauer showed what he called unusual communication patterns based on evidence from the investigation. From 2016 to early 2017, when Meghan was having romantic moments with Harry in front of the cameras, she was also said to have a complicated relationship with Trevor behind the scenes. Bauer says that Meghan used email accounts that didn't show her name in messaging apps with high-level encryption. Why? To talk about business opportunities in Hollywood or to keep a safe way out in case her royal dream fell through. But the most important part of Bauer's testimony is what he calls the genetics timeline. This is a cruel but very logical argument. Bauer wants to know why Meghan pushed Harry to get married so quickly, almost in a panic. Why the need to get married so quickly when their love was still strong and the palace hadn't put a lot of pressure on them yet? Bauer's answer in court cut Harry's heart like a knife. In late 2018, scientists found out that it was a biological fact. Bauer said that if Meghan got pregnant while her relationships were still complicated and she hadn't completely broken up with Trevor, she would have had to make a life-changing choice. On one side was Trevor, the ex-boyfriend who no longer had any power or status. Harry, on the other hand, was the golden ticket that would make her famous and rich all over the world. Bauer says that Meghan didn't choose based on what her heart told her to do. It was based on power rankings, which means they thought about which path would give them the most benefit. This isn't about a typical affair. This goes straight to the heart of the Succession Act. If Bauer is right that Archie is related to Trevor Engelson instead of Harry, then the child has no royal blood at all. Nothing. This means that having Archie in line for the throne would be a serious constitutional crime. Tom Bauer called this a painful psychological dissection. He said that the whole Megxit event in 2020, when Harry and Meghan dramatically quit their royal duties, wasn't really about racism or privacy issues, as they said in their Netflix series and Oprah interview. Bauer says it was an escape, a last-ditch effort to get Archie away from royal doctors and avoid the strict DNA tests that the palace would have required as the child grew older and showed physical traits that were nothing like Harry's. Take a look at Harry in that courtroom. He left his home country, publicly criticized his father, and allegedly broke his late grandmother's heart, all in the name of protecting what he called family privacy. He didn't know he might have been protecting a genetic lie. At the end of this part, Tom Bauer left a question in the air that made everyone in the courtroom very quiet. Why? Did Meghan go to such great lengths to move Harry and the child to California, where privacy laws would be the strongest shield to hide this lie, when rumors about Archie's bloodline started to spread within the palace? Trevor Engleson's ghost is no longer in the past. It's here now, destroying the future of Sussex. The palace knew why silence turned into complicity. A lot of people make a big mistake when they think that Buckingham Palace never does anything about scandals. Tom Bauer says that the truth is the exact opposite. During the reign of the late Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who spent her whole life protecting the crown's honor, the rules of bloodline were never broken. Bauer said something shocking in court that made the people in the gallery gasp. The palace wasn't stupid. As soon as Archie was born at Portland Hospital in May 2019, the world was happy for the Sussexes. But behind the thick stone walls of Buckingham Palace, a secret genetic testing process began. Bauer called it a routine health check, but the real reason for it was to keep the monarchy alive. So, what happened to that test result? People who work at Bauer's palace gatekeepers say that it has never been seen by anyone. They put it in a special safe deep inside the palace's wine cellar and sealed it up. A place where only the most important family members have keys to get in. You're probably asking the obvious question, why keep it a secret? If the test shows that Archie doesn't have Windsor blood, why wasn't that made public in 2019 when it could have been handled? Tom Bower gave a harsh explanation based on the need to stay in power. Think about what would happen if an empire fell. The British royal family was already in shock in 2019 because of the terrible scandal involving Prince Andrew and his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. If another fraud came to light, this time involving paternity in the direct line of succession, it would be the end of the monarchy's credibility. King Charles, who was still the Prince of Wales at the time, and Prince William had a very hard choice to make: tell the truth and risk losing the public's faith in the monarchy, or stay silent to protect the institution's future. They went with the second choice. They chose to be quiet. But this kindness and conservatism made what Bower calls a media monster. The palace's silence gave Meghan Markle the perfect cover without meaning to. She knew that the palace would never tell the truth because they were afraid it would cause too much trouble. And from that safe place, the attacks on the royal family through shocking interviews and documentaries began to happen with terrible success. But the part of Bower's story that stands out the most is about Prince Harry himself. Bower stresses that Harry may be the most tragic victim in this whole story. Bower says he's stuck in a glass cage of lies. Harry fights the world, fights his own family, and gives up everything to protect his wife and kids, never realizing that he might be protecting a genetic fraud that he doesn't even know about. He believed everything Meghan said and trusted that being a father would make him happy, even though he might have been used as a tool for a complicated power grab. Bower's testimony about this DNA report isn't just an accusation. It's a sign that big events and fairy tale stories are empty. If what he says is true, then Archie, the child who was seventh in line for the throne, is not related to the Windsors at all. And when this truth came out in court in January 2026, we learned that the palace's silence over the years has cost them a lot of money, and they could lose everything. The quiet that screams guilt. In the world of diplomacy and royal families, silence is often seen as a good thing. But after Tom Bower's shocking testimony about paternity, Montecito's silence is no longer golden. It starts to feel like a confession without words. Let's look at the facts with a clear mind. Meghan Markle has never been afraid to sue big newspapers for even the smallest breaches of privacy. She has sued people for defamation over bad pictures. She has sued newspapers for publishing a private letter to her father. But she hasn't said a word about the accusation that could ruin her reputation and her son's future. Why hasn't Tom Bower been sued for defamation right away? Why has the Sussex office, which is very sensitive to rumors, let the names Trevor Engelson and Operation Cuckoo float around in the news for weeks? A public DNA test that is open and witnessed by independent agencies is the only quick and very effective way to silence Tom Bower, who is betting his whole reputation on this testimony. That would be the last nail in the coffin for all conspiracy theories. But, ladies and gentlemen, their choice to hide raises a huge question. Could it be that they can't show that proof because they don't own the truth? Consider what Meghan has always done in court. Forceful, immediate, and overwhelming against any perceived insult. The silence is deafening right now because it's so out of character. Let's talk about Harry, the most tragic person in this whole mess. Close sources say that he lives alone in his Montecito villa. Think about what it would be like to be someone who has given up everything. Titles, protection from the military, blood ties to his father and brother, and even pride in his country. All of this is to keep the woman he loves and the child he thinks is his own safe. And now he's terrified that all of those sacrifices were based on a web of lies that were very complicated. If Archie doesn't have the Windsor bloodline, the effects will go far beyond hurt feelings. Not only would the boy lose his royal title and his place as seventh in line to the throne, but he would also lose the way he sees the world and the identity he's being taught to have. For a child, this would be the most brutal way to take away their identity. And Harry could never go back to the royal family because he had unknowingly helped commit constitutional fraud. There is always a way for the truth to get out. Tom Bower has started a fight that no one will really win. If the genetic documents he talks about are brought up in more explosive legal cases in the future, the British Parliament will have to step in. This isn't just a family drama anymore. It's a matter of the country's legitimacy. In this game of royalty, the truth may be hidden behind cellars of fortified wine or American privacy laws, but it always finds a way to get out. This has happened many times in the past. Who has the last card in this game? Is it Tom Bower, who has a network of shady palace sources? Is it Buckingham Palace and its plans to protect the monarchy at all costs? Or does Meghan herself have evidence that could either clear her name completely or ruin her life forever? The story in the London courtroom may have ended its first session, but its effects will be felt in the British monarchy for many years to come. People are asking for parliamentary inquiries. People who know a lot about the Constitution are being asked for their advice. It may be necessary to look at the line of succession again and make changes. Consider the consequences. If Parliament has to look into it, they would need to get DNA evidence through a subpoena. They would have to ask Trevor Angleson directly while under oath. They would have to look at Meghan's movements, communications, and relationships during the important time from 2016 to 2018. This wouldn't be just gossip anymore. It would be an official government investigation into whether a royal heir is real. This would be the first time in modern British history that there has been a constitutional crisis. Harry can hardly believe how bad the mental damage is. Every happy moment with Archie would now be clouded by doubt. Every picture, every milestone, every moment when a father was proud could have been based on a lie. The man who left everything behind to protect his family might find out that he was protecting a lie. And what about Archie? If Bower is right, this innocent child is at the center of a scandal he had nothing to do with. His whole sense of self, including who he is and where he comes from, would be destroyed. The psychological harm could be deep and long-lasting. What comes next? The legal process is far from over. Bower's testimony was just the first shot. People close to the case say he has more evidence that he hasn't shown yet. There could be documents, messages, or even testimony from Trevor Angleson himself. The Sussex lawyers are in a situation that is impossible. If they sue for defamation, they risk being discovered. This means that Bowers's lawyers could legally force DNA testing, communication records, and sworn testimony. If they don't respond, the accusations will stand, and they will become more believable with each passing day. Buckingham Palace is in its own nightmare situation. If they back up Bower's claims, they will have to admit to years of covering up fraud and maybe even take Archie out of the running for the throne. If they deny the claims without proof, they risk Bower releasing proof that makes them look like they were involved in the lie. The only people who might win in this situation are the British tabloids, who are having their best time since Princess Diana died. But for everyone else, like Harry, Meghan, Archie, the royal family, and the monarchy itself, this is a complete disaster. Will the truth come out in secret files that are finally made public? Or will it stay as bits and pieces that are hard to find because of power struggles, legal maneuvers, and the need for institutions to protect themselves? The questions we need to ask. We need to ask ourselves some tough questions as we think about this shocking testimony. If Tom Bower is lying or making things up, why hasn't anyone sued him into the ground? He gave his testimony in a court of law while under oath. Lying under oath can lead to serious consequences, including perjury charges. Would a journalist of his caliber jeopardize his entire career and face potential incarceration over falsehoods? If Meghan has nothing to hide, why not give DNA evidence right away to shut up her critics for good? One simple test done by independent labs and watched by people who don't have a stake in the outcome would end this nightmare right away. The silence could mean a legal strategy or something worse. If the palace really has proof in a locked safe that Archie is a Windsor, why not let it out? If the evidence would prove the Sussexes' innocence and put an end to the rumors, what possible reason is there to keep it secret? Why does Harry look so sad in those courtroom pictures if he really thinks Archie is his biological son? Why do you look haunted? Why can't you look anyone in the eye? There aren't any easy answers to these questions. And that's exactly why this story has gotten so much attention all over the world. The last word. What started as a royal love story that was celebrated around the world as a modern fairy tale may end up being the biggest lie in the history of modern monarchy. Tom Bower's testimony has pulled back the curtain on what could be a carefully built illusion. You might think Bower's claims are true or that they are the best way to attack the Sussexes, but there is one thing that is clear. The questions he has brought up will not go away. They will be remembered for a long time, making us question everything we thought we knew about Harry and Meghan's story. Bower said in court that the truth doesn't belong to anyone. It just is, and no amount of PR, threats of legal action, or planned silence can keep it hidden forever. The irony is devastating for Harry, who only wanted to keep his family safe from the intrusions he thinks killed his mother. His efforts to keep his family out of the spotlight may have made things worse by making the most explosive scrutiny possible. For Meghan, the actress who became a princess, left the royal family, and then built her own empire. The stakes couldn't be higher. If Bower's claims are true, everything she's worked for, her brand, her credibility, and her future, falls apart right away. For Archie, an innocent child caught in the middle of adult lies and power struggles. No matter what the truth says, the future is uncertain and could be traumatic. And for the British monarchy, which has been around for hundreds of years and has been through wars, scandals, and other major changes, this could be the test that decides if it can survive in the modern world, where DNA testing is common and people expect full honesty. We promise to keep following this story and bringing you the latest news as it unfolds. The truth is coming out, whether it's through court papers, DNA evidence, or the testimony of a whistleblower. Don't forget to sign up for notifications so you don't miss any news about what could be the biggest royal scandal in recent history. I want to hear from you now. Do you believe Tom Bower's damning testimony, or do you think this is just the last thing the Sussex family will do to hurt them? Do you think Meghan should give DNA evidence right away to shut down her critics? Do you think Harry knew the truth, or is he the real victim in this case? Let us know what you think in the comments. Let's talk about what this means for the monarchy's future and whether it can survive if these claims turn out to be true. The storm of truth has just begun. And before it's all over, we might find out that everything we thought we knew about the world's most famous couple was just a well-planned lie.